Peace and blessings. Hope that all is well with everyone. I'm reflecting on spring, right? This time that we've had settling into the season. I know a lot's been on my mind, lots been on my heart, just moving through a lot of energy right now. And, I've been wanting to get some vlogs out for a while, past month or so. But just really been trying to be present with the lessons. You know what I'm saying? I think that that's the most important thing that any of us can do is be present with the lessons, right? I notice as I've gotten into the sphere of content creation, there's a balancing act that you have to keep between what it is that you want to create and put out, right? And even before content creation, just my art in general. You have to live what it is that you're living and feel what it is that you're feeling. You have to understand it before you can transform it into something that is in a different form, right? Whether that be a piece of art or, a video. I'm going to talk about two of, I think, the most pertinent lessons that's been at hand for me, even before the spring, but really into the winter time, coming out of the winter time into the spring. It's been about patience and being able to sit in moments of idleness, right? So when I say moments of idleness, there's these moments where in my personal journey, I notice that, even if I have a desire to do something, right? And for as far as I can remember, I've always had a desire. I've always had a goal that I was going towards. I've always had something that I wanted to achieve. There are moments in the journey where idleness or stillness and just like things are happening in such a way under the surface that action and movement and creation externally isn't where the energy flows. You know what I'm saying? And it's kind of how, like, in the wintertime, the trees die and it looks like nothing is happening outside. It's still, it's quiet, it's cold. But under the surface, the root systems of the trees are getting deeper and stronger, right? So it's these moments of stillness externally or in our conscious lives, but subconsciously, unconsciously, what's really happening is opportunities and moments for us to get that deeper understanding of ourselves. And that takes patience, right? We live in a society that isn't designed towards patience. And, I struggle with that a lot, honestly, in recent times, just like with the increased state of awareness and, spiritual attunement, but then going out into the world, interacting with the world in the ways that I've been brought up, speaking on like the technological age and just how fast paced it is in reality, or how fast paced it is in relation to the flow of nature, right? Because my journey has been about returning to nature, returning to the natural flow of things, returning to the natural essence of the human being, right? And the natural state of what it means to be a melanated person. And there's a state of slowness that I don't think a lot of us are taught about, or there's a state of slowness that I think is not afforded to a lot of us, just based on circumstances. So it's difficult, to actually allow myself to rest, allow myself to be still, and you know, meditate on things, to not feel restless, right, and frustrated and stifled, right? So this is not an easy lesson for me to learn, something that I've been learning over the course of my life, but particularly pretty heavy in the past few years. And I think that's one of the aspects that's gotten to me, the fact that I've been trying to learn how to be patient for so long. I think that can be discouraging, right? Because I think there can be this idea in the spiritual journey and the spiritual, community where, it's, you do your shadow work, you get an understanding of what you're going through and why and the roots of it all, and you set intentions on what you want to experience. Contrary to that, and then all is well, all works out. And that is true. But I think that the time that the healing actually takes is not a matter of days, or seasons in some cases, right? But what I found for me in particular is that community has helped a lot, right? I moved to Atlanta a couple of years ago, and I didn't really know anybody out here, and I still don't know a lot of people, but I've been able to find a particular set of people that are on the same wavelength, and that I can see as my community, that I can see as my tribe, that I feel that sense of collectivity with, right? That co-creation. It's always a good time to get with these people, right? This community, goes by the name of Poetry in Motion. And, I'll link them up in the description for anybody in Atlanta. But yeah, man, I mean, to kick off the spring equinox, we had ABC Fest, which is anything but cash, right? So it's a bartering event. I was doing spiritual care packages, so I had a spiritual bath, a smoke blend, and a tea blend, and mojo bags, right? So these are all things that I work with to upkeep my spiritual hygiene and, carry intention throughout whatever season, whatever moment that I'm in. So I offered those spiritual care packages, and I had a special piece, a staff that I made, that I ended up bartering in exchange for a reading. So the creativity leading up to, ABC Fest was definitely therapeutic, and it was a lot of transmutation. And that's what I'm grateful about that event. The first time that I went, but especially this time that I went, being able to engage in that transmutation process, right? And the energy exchange and just like the refreshment of it all, right? I went to one last year, when I was first getting to know, everybody. And I really enjoyed it, just the idea of, just getting together, vibing out, bartering things, and just practicing that mode of operation, being able to offer your services to the next person, or, take the things that you've created or the things that you have, your insight, and get something in return, not having to feel tied or pressured into the vortex of capitalism all the time, right? So that's the biggest thing I can say about this community, is just the ability to take a break from the system, right? It's peaceful, it's solace, you know what I'm saying? And it's a lot easier for me to be patient, right? Being in those spaces where I'm grounded, where I have that level of groundedness around other people. I'm hearing where other people are at. We sharing poetry and just thoughts, I'm like, okay, like I have mirrors to look at, and it's not just like me lost in the void of my own existence and of my own mind, right? I have these examples of other people on the same journey as me. That makes patience a lot more easier for me personally, right? The ability to see other people on the same journey, to know that I'm not alone, you know what I'm saying? So, you know what I'm saying? Like, but I think this past ABC Fest in particular taught me to just take things step at a time. You know, keep moving one foot in front of the other. No matter what happens or what comes up or what I'm unsure about, just put one foot in front of the other, right? You know, that's all that we really can do. You know, the mind can go wherever it wants. It could be in the future, it can be in the past. You know, it can be agitated in the present moment, or you can be present. But as far as like this body goes, right, the experience, the human experience, it really is one foot in front of the other. Like, you don't go anywhere unless you put one foot in front of the other. So it's all a psychological thing, and you know, that doesn't take away from the discomfort, but I find comfort in knowing that when I spend time out in nature and I spend time with people that I resonate with a tribe, you know what I'm saying? And I'm able to just chill, you know, just vibe out that earthly element, you know, when I'm really connecting to the element of earth in that relational type of way. You know, I want to be patient. I want to move slowly, you know what I'm saying? And that is the natural state of the human experience, to move slowly and like be present and be curious and just experience life to the fullest, right? So, you know, it's all about the journey of balance between what is natural and what isn't. And that's the psychological warfare of it all. That's the, you know, economic and social warfare of it all, right? You know, I think it's important for us to be able to engage in this warfare and organize together. Talking about resistance through rest, resistance through slowness, resistance through bartering, resistance through allowing yourself to be, you know what I'm saying, allowing for the natural cycles of life to take place. I'm 25 years old. I really don't have anything to be in a rush about, right? Or to really worry about as deep as I do. So it's all about moments of reflection, man. That's all that we can do, right? But until next time, peace and blessings to you all. May you flow into the spring and summer with more slowness and just presence, you know, enjoyment, you know what I'm saying? Take a deep breath. And just, you know, be here because it's a gift. All right. Ashe.